Welcome to the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. After another successful week on the horse racing front, we're back to do it all over again. We'll be back doing NFL next week before the NFL draft, but we're focusing over at Keeneland once more. Hopefully, Tom, this race is on time as well, because last week we had to wait till Tuesday.
We did for the Bluegrass, and we're filming this just a day later on Wednesday. So, we're fresh off the back of that Kentucky Derby trial. It was a great result for us, obviously, with Burnham Square getting up just on the wire to beat East Avenue. A nice price as well. I don't think we'll be seeing a Kentucky Derby winner coming out of that race, though.
No, I completely agree. I mean, Chance McPatrick was one that I was a little worried about just because he could take the next step. I don't think he's even going to run. I think he's at 25th on the list now. He'll need quite a few to come out because he didn't score any points for finishing last.
Yeah, it was a disappointing effort. I think they're going to cut back in trip with him. If they don't and they want to continue going two turns and route distances, then they need to rate his speed more. As I said in the preview for the Bluegrass, actually, he showed more tactical speed at Tampa, and that wasn't what we saw from him as a 2-year-old. And again, he showed it in the Bluegrass, and I just don't think it really suits him. So they either need to cut back to a mile, a one-turn mile, or they need to hold him right at the back and use that one-run deep closing tactic that we saw to good effect last season.
Absolutely. There were a few reports of people sort of at the track that he just doesn't look like he's trained on into a 3-year-old. He still looks on the smaller side, which was one of the concerns that that I had. However, Tom, very well done on your winner. We'll try and do it once again this week, but Keeneland is back on turf. We're hoping the weather has been better for the last week or so, and we're also, Tom, a few more steps towards getting to 1,000 subscribers.
We're getting close, aren't we? I say that. We're more than 50% the way there, but we seem to be getting a decent amount of subscribers every week. If you're watching this and you're not subscribed, please click that button down below. It takes you 1 second, costs you nothing, but it does help us out. And also, it means you won't miss any of our great podcasts.
I have a challenge for everyone watching.
Oh no, what is it?
So I was going through the stats, right, of just people that watch our podcast, and part of it is like audience. Apparently, 100% of our audience is a 65 or older year old male. So, if you are younger than 65, male, female, whatever, but if you're younger than 65, just leave a comment saying that you're younger than 65. That would be great because I'm not trusting the stats whatsoever. But let's move on. Let's talk about horse racing, where we are looking over at Keeneland. We've got the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley to look forward to. Interesting as well, Tom, because it's our first taste and a lot earlier in the year than normal of having European horses go over to take on the Americans.
Yeah, exactly. We saw one European runner this week at Keeneland, the week just gone, in Rogue Lightning, who ran a great race. But there seems to be more and more shippers from different kind of trainers going over to Keeneland, which is great to see. And we've got two UK horses and UK trainers represented here. We also have a French runner that's going over and making his debut for Chad Brown. So this race has a big international feel to it. Doesn't make it any easier, though.
It doesn't. Even the horses that are going over there and having their first run, like for Chad Brown, you don't know what to expect from them whatsoever. Fortunately, we do have a market to go through. It doesn't really help us out a great deal because it's 7-2 the field. Choisya is 7-2, 7-2 Excellent Truth, 5-1 Kehoe Beach, the Wesley Ward runner. Sacred Wish is 6-1. Be Your Best, the Pegasus winner, is 13-2. Jabaara 7-1, 10-1. No Show Sammy Joe. Poolside with Slim is 16-1, and Vina Arana is 33-1. At least in this race, we've got the rejected podcast name from a couple of years ago,
which was
Poolside with Slim. We tried it.
That was the podcast name now. Come on.
No, it wouldn't have got that far. Wouldn't have gone that far. Turf and Touchdowns was by far optimal. But we'll start with the pace.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not really sure what we're looking at. I know for a fact Be Your Best is going to be on the front end because that's just what Be Your Best does. There's not much else, but there's also horses trying something that they're not really used to. The likes of Excellent Truth, Simon Crisford's horses going over to America as well may go forward. So the waters are muddy to touch with it.
Yeah, it's hard to know with the European runners exactly what tactics they're going to employ, but generally we do anticipate European runners to be a little bit slowly away from the gates and maybe miss half a stride, therefore losing position and getting towards the back of the pack. I wouldn't be surprised if Jabaara and the Excellent Truth, the French horse, were right towards the back in deep closing positions. Choisya has got good tactical speed, so she could get a lot closer to the pace. But I do think the three most likely horses to be on the front are Be Your Best, who you've talked about, Sacred Wish, who's probably going to adopt a stalking role rather than being right up on top, and Kehoe Beach, who breaks from stall 7. she's running 4 turf races and has led on all 4 of them. So, it's typical Wesley Ward to go out in the front and try to dictate the fractions. And I think that's probably what we'll see here.
Yeah, there's potentially 3 angles to leading, but it's going to be an interesting race all the same, regards to pace. Choisya is coming here. It's an unconventional route. Not many horses would go straight to America off the back of Meydan, but in fairness, Choisya has taken her form to new levels over in Meydan. Now, I will say one thing. I hate that. I don't like Meydan form travelling elsewhere. I especially hate it when a horse shows their best form over in Meydan. It just doesn't seem to travel elsewhere. You look at Choisya's form over in England. Honestly, it's fine, but it's not Group 1 or Grade 1 standard. Every other horse that's shipping over from Europe to either stay there or to just travel there, on European form, Tom, they're better than this horse.
Yeah, I completely agree. On those Dubai efforts, she's way the horse to beat. I mean, in the Balanchine, she beat Cinderella's Dream, who last year proved to be one of the best fillies around. She won the Belmont Oaks and the Saratoga Oaks. That form would make Choisya way the horse to beat in this contest. But as you say, Dubai form doesn't always translate elsewhere. We even saw Dubai World Cup night last week, how random the results have generated. And the actual Dubai World Cup itself was won by Hit Show, beating Mixto. I mean, what are we doing here? So who knows what we're going to expect from the Crisford horse. On her UK form, she's a player, but I wouldn't have her in as favourite.
No, not at all. She'd be a far bigger price runner. And also, the Crisfords, off the top of my head, their record for sending horses over to America is not fantastic. They've tried it with a few horses in the past, but I can't recall many successful ventures.
No, I can't either. They're very good trainers. Generally, they'd look towards France, maybe in Ireland for a shipper. The US, it doesn't seem to be where they go often, aside from the Breeders' Cup, and there they haven't had much success.
No, it's bizarre. Like I say, they in England, they've been notorious for being people that place their horses very well and put them in the right races, whereas sending over to America, it's not quite worked for them just yet. A trainer that we know a little bit more about going over to America is Roger Varian. He's got Jabaara in here. I didn't quite expect Jabaara to be turning up in this spot, but I love the outside-the-box thinking. Joel Rosario's taking the ride. He's back riding fantastically again, we should say. I know we knock him quite a bit, but when he's riding well, he's one of the very best around. Importantly as well, Jabaara's had a run this year. She ran in the Lady Wulfruna, where she was probably unlucky not to maybe win, but at least go very close. She was quite severely hampered late on. I think Jabaara's a massive player in here.
Yeah, she's an interesting contender, and I like the jockey booking, actually, considering she's likely to be towards the back of the field. Her form with Porta Fortuna last year in the Falmouth makes her a huge player. It's just, what Jabaara are we going to see? Are we going to see an improved Jabaara this year, or is it going to be the same Jabaara that we saw last term? She's a little bit sporadic in the home straight. She can hang a little bit, so Joel Rosario will need to be at his best, but I wouldn't be surprised if she made a big late surge.
No, I think Keeneland will suit her as well, regards to the layout of the track. It's a more conventional, dare I say, more European track, and it's a touch more galloping. You get a lot more room to run in the home straight. We have got 2 horses in here that have faced off in the recent past, the likes of Sacred Wish and also Be Your Best. They ran against each other at Gulfstream Park. Be Your Best, I did think, got the absolutely prime trip that day. It was on the front end. The pace didn't really collapse, was up there with Pounce throughout, and Sacred Wish just got going a little bit too late.
Yeah, Be Your Best has tactical speed that we've already talked about. We'll be right there up front. And in that race at Gulfstream, I thought she got the perfect trip and she managed to get the job done. I actually believe Sacred Wish is the better of the 2, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if she reversed this form. I thought that Gulfstream run was really nice from her. It was quite clearly just a prep towards this race at Keeneland. And on a level of form, Sacred Wish, in my opinion, is the horse to beat out of all the US runners. She's 8-1 on the morning line, which I thought was very fair.
Yeah, she's in the international market 6-1, which again, that's fine. That's not too bad whatsoever. The thing that makes it harder sort of covering this race and tipping in this race is the fact that, yes, we've got the Europeans coming over, but we've also got Excellent Truth. On the form, Excellent Truth has got the best form in the race. I mean, the Group 1 effort last time around behind Marquise de Sevigné in the Prix Rothschild, that was a brilliant run. Is lesser exposed, obviously ran in the Prix de l'Opera last year as well. It's just a case of how this horse is going to handle running in a Grade 1 first time out over in the US. And we know Chad Brown won't have her cherry ripe for this run.
Exactly that. Fitness is going to be a question mark. I don't think Chad's had any of his horses 100% first time up this year so far, including maidens and also his proven quantities. Chance for Patrick being just one, but there have been several examples, especially over the last couple of weeks where horses just haven't been fit first time. When you get a French shipper anyway, I generally think it takes them quite some time to acclimatise, generally due to not necessarily the weather, but the actual underfoot surface. In France, we see these horses run on soft ground, heavy ground quite often, even through the summer. And then when they go to the US, they start running on rattling fast ground, and it's completely different. So I think they need to learn their legs and muscles need to kind of adapt to the different kind of going that you get in the US. And yeah, she's a good horse. I mean, look at her French form. You said there, she's probably the best of these on talent. She cost 1.6 million as well in December, bought by Resolute Racing. That's a lot of money. Now, I know that John Stewart, the leader of or head of Resolute Racing, is probably viewing her as a good broodmare in time, but you want to see some returns on the track. I don't think we're going to see it this Saturday. You know, she's drawn gate one. That's a question mark. I think her price is too short anyway, so I wouldn't want to play her. And she's probably not going to be fit. But if she runs second or third, then you'll be looking to future targets with her. That would be a good starting block for her.
Yeah, I totally agree. Saratoga, something like that later on in the year, may be ideal for her. One thing I don't think is made enough of when French horses go over to America as well, the style of racing is so different. And you mentioned that the ground and the surfaces, but in French racing, you go slow and then you sprint. Whereas in America, you go hard and you try and stay there. Maybe they get it right and maybe the pace holds up, but not necessarily. In France, when even English trainers go over, sometimes I have to put a pacemaker in there just to make the tempo just that little bit faster. I would have this akin to a horse dropping from a mile down to 6 furlongs. They have to learn how to race again at a different distance, and they have to learn to sprint. There's a lot being asked of Excellent Truth if you want her to win here.
Yeah, there really is. I completely agree with all of that. What you see if you watch the replays of her in France is that she actually does have some tactical speed. The victory, I don't know if it was last time, I think it was last time out. She raced in the first two throughout the whole race, so she does have tactical pace, but she draws inside and she's not going to be the quickest away. It's likely that she's going to be boxed in against the fence. And she's a really tall filly. She's not a small, nippy sort. She's tall and big, scopy. So I don't think that's going to be the spot they want to be in. Maybe they take her right back to last and look to make one big run, kind of saving the petrol for future engagements, but also giving her a chance. I think that would be the right play. But if that is the case, it's quite hard to come from last on the turf at Keeneland. Look, it's not a front runner's track. The dirt very much is. The turf isn't. But equally, I wouldn't want to be 5-6 lengths behind the leaders turning in.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't honestly know if Excellent Truth will have the turn of foot to cope with American racing. That's something that I am willing to watch, but it's very much a learning experience with Excellent Truth. Of the others that we haven't managed to mention, anything that you'd want to throw into the mix?
I thought Vina Arana was pretty impressive on the US debut, but this is just a big step up in class. Poolside with Slim has got some form at Keeneland, but it's kind of below this level. Has some tactical pace, but not enough to get to the front, which could be a problem. Kehoe Beach we kind of touched on as being the speed, but in my opinion, is unlikely to win this, despite the fact that Frankie's on board. And No Show Sammy Joe is very interesting for Graham Motion, but the draw is the problem there. She's very unexposed and open to lots of improvement. Probably a big price as well, but she's going to have to race wide on this track and then come with the big late surge.
Yeah, No Show Sammy Joe is currently 10-1 in the international market. So I'm going to go in with my selection first because I've got the bigger priced runner at the moment anyway. I like Jabaara. It's a very tricky race to work our way through, but I think Jabaara currently 7-1. Yeah, 7-1. I think that's a very fair each way price. This is a horse who has had the run, will come here fit. Roger Varian, I like it when he thinks outside of the box and he goes for an exotic target, regardless of what other country he sends a horse to. I think American racing will suit Jabaara quite nicely as well. They ought to go a decent enough clip, and she should just be able to travel into the race. I don't think she'll necessarily be held up towards the back of the field. Say, we've seen her more recently sit mid-pack. I'm fine with that. That's absolutely okay. I actually weirdly like Joel Rosario being on board. He's a rider that can be very hot and cold, but he's hot at the moment and he's riding fantastically. I thought Jabaara had a real chance to land a grade 1 in this spot, but like I say, when she comes back to Europe, Tom, she's not for me an out-and-out Group 1 horse at all.
No, I completely agree with that, but she could make an impact at this level. And, you know, at a price, what did you say, 7-1?
7-1.
Yeah, I think that's fair putting her up, but there's decent value there in a race that is wide open. I'm not going to be looking to any of the European horses personally, but I do respect both Jabaara and Choisya, or Choisya, however you want to pronounce the horse's name. But I'm going to be looking at the US horse to play, and that is Sacred Wish. She's already a Grade 1 winner. She won the Matriarch last year, so that proves the quality box, albeit she isn't a proper Grade 1 horse in and out. This is a weak enough race for her to stamp her authority, maybe, up top. I like the booking of Johnny V. I love that she's drawn out wide but has tactical speed. That should allow her to sit in second or third. She's a fair price. And if you go back to the last spring meet, you've got April last year, she finished third in an allowance race, but she actually shaped very well first off the layoff. Crucially, she's not first off the layoff this time. She had that run at Gulfstream. That will have her spot on. Hopefully she can go close.
Yeah, she's been a frustrating horse in the past as a Sacred Wish, but we know that she's riddled with talent. She's the 8 horse in here, Jabaara the 6. That's a look through the field over at Keeneland for the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley. We're getting ever closer to Kentucky Derby. We'll be previewing that race a little bit more over the next few weeks. And as I say, Tom, NFL draft, 10 days away. So we'll be covering that next week with our best bets alongside horse racing as well.
Yeah, we'll have the NFL and horse racing double up next week. NFL draft predictions and bets, as you say. And then horse racing wise, it'll either be the Oaklawn Handicap. I haven't seen any entries just yet or nominations, or the Elkhorn at Keeneland, but it'll be one of those 2 races. And yeah, a couple of videos to watch. I'm just glad I got through this one, Luke. I've needed to cough about 5 or 6 times.
Tom, poor little Tom. If you look at him at certain points in this podcast, his head was ready to explode.
Yeah.
He was about to. There was one point, I was like, I'll talk a bit longer because he looks like he needs to recover from whatever just happened to him. But Tom, you've been in bed for 3 days. We're feeling sorry for you today.
Yeah, it's not been good, but I am on the recovery. And a couple of Sky Sports racing shifts come up at the end of this week, so I've got to get a bit better.
Are you in on Saturday?
I am in on Saturday, yeah.
Perfect. We're both on a Saturday. There we go. We can look forward to that. Tom, thank you very much for your time. I'll talk to you later in the week.
See you later, mate.
And for you guys at home, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment down below, leave a like as well. It helps out massively. We are back twice next week on the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. Until then, stay safe, look after one another. Goodbye.